In 1909, a woman's power was quiet. It was in her patience, her resilience, her grace. She built empires from kitchens and raised warriors from nothing. In 2025, her power is loud, but sometimes it's lost. Lost in the noise, the filters, the endless chase for validation. Something changed. Not her strength, but her direction. The question is, what happened to the women who built nations, not just profiles? In 1909, a girl grew up learning that life was not meant to be easy, it was meant to make her strong. Her hands touched the soil, her heart carried the weight of her family, and her words meant something because they were few. She didn't chase attention, she earned respect. Every day was discipline. Every dream was built from silence, patience, and faith. A 1909 girl knew what commitment meant. When she loved, she gave her whole soul. When she worked, she did it with pride. There was no plan B, no comfort zone, only duty, loyalty, and honor. She didn't need validation from strangers because her value came from within. She was taught that beauty fades but character remains. And that lesson was her armor. She didn't have social media to tell her who she was, she had reality. She had a mirror that showed her truth, not filters that lied. Her heroes were not influencers, they were her mother, her grandmother, her teacher. Women who carried wisdom, not trends. Women who didn't need the world to applaud, because their legacy was written in the lives they touched. The girl of 1909 wasn't perfect, but she was real. She cried in silence, she endured in dignity, and she rose without noise. She didn't chase freedom, she became freedom. She understood that strength wasn't rebellion, it was grace under fire. And when the world told her you can't, she answered, "Watch me." Now it's 2025. The world has changed, and so has she. She's surrounded by lights, screens, and endless noise telling her who she should be. Every scroll, every post, every like whispers the same lie, you're not enough. And so she keeps chasing perfection, validation, approval. But the more she runs, the more empty she feels. She doesn't wake up to sunrise anymore, she wakes up to notifications. She doesn't talk to herself, she compares herself. And instead of hearing her own voice, she hears the world's opinion. The modern girl is strong, yes, but she's also tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of competing. Tired of smiling for pictures when her soul is starving for peace. They told her she was empowered, yet somehow she feels more lost than ever. She was told she could be anything, but now she doesn't know who she truly is. Freedom came, but it came with confusion. Choices came, but they came with pressure. She traded silence for noise, and authenticity for attention. The girl of 2025 doesn't lack power, she lacks direction. Because when everything is about image, the soul gets forgotten. She's been taught how to build brands, but not how to build character. She knows how to attract followers, but not how to find herself. And deep down, beneath the makeup, the hustle, the mask, she whispers the same question the girl from 1909 already answered. What is my worth, if it's not measured by the world? The shift didn't happen overnight. It began quietly when society started telling girls that being soft was weak, that nurturing was outdated, that tradition was oppression. They were told to chase independence, but not taught what it truly meant. So many learned to harden their hearts just to survive in a world that rewarded masks over morals. The world redefined power, but it forgot purpose. It glorified rebellion but mocked grace. It celebrated exposure but ignored depth. And somewhere in the middle of empowerment and ego, women lost the art of being whole. The 1909 woman was taught to build homes, not just houses. She built families that stood through storms. But today, many are building empires and yet feeling alone at the top. Because success without peace isn't freedom, it's another kind of prison. The message changed, and with it, the meaning of femininity. Now she's told to never need anyone, to prove herself, to always be strong. But real strength isn't never needing anyone, it's knowing when to love, when to rest, when to surrender without losing yourself. Modern women are capable, brilliant, unstoppable, but sometimes, they've forgotten the beauty of balance. The softness that once gave them power now feels like a weakness they must hide. And in trying to be everything, they've lost the one thing that truly mattered: peace. Maybe the lesson from 1909 wasn't about going back in time, but about remembering what time can take. Grace, loyalty, and a heart that knows its worth, even when the world forgets it. But here's the truth: she can still find her way back. Because strength was never something the world could give her. It was always inside. It's not in the followers, not in the fame, not in the image, it's in the moments no one sees. When she wipes her own tears. When she chooses self-respect over attention. When she walks away from noise to find peace again. The girl of 2025 doesn't need to become the girl of 1909. She just needs to remember her roots. The quiet discipline. The inner pride. The softness that isn't weakness, but wisdom. She doesn't need to prove her worth, she needs to feel it. Because when she stands still long enough to listen, she'll hear the voice her grandmother once had: strong, calm, unshaken. Maybe it's time for her to stop chasing what the world calls empowerment and start building what the soul calls truth. To stop performing and start becoming. To stop running and start remembering. She can still rise, not above others, but above the illusions. She can wear ambition with grace. Power with humility. Freedom with responsibility. That's the evolution the world forgot, not becoming louder, but becoming truer. And maybe one day, the girl of 2025 will teach her daughter what the girl of 1909 already knew. That being a woman is not about competing, it's about creating. Not about proving, but about becoming. Not about being seen, but about being remembered for something real. So now, she stands in the mirror, not to perfect her reflection, but to finally meet herself again. The girl who used to dream, who used to care, who used to believe that her purpose was bigger than her image. And for the first time in a long time, she doesn't ask, "Who do they want me to be?" She whispers, "Who did God make me to be?" That's where her power returns. Not in rebellion. Not in resistance. But in remembrance. Because the strongest women are not the ones who fight the world, they're the ones who don't let the world change their heart. The 1909 girl and the 2025 girl are not enemies, they are echoes of each other. One built foundations. The other built platforms. Now it's time to merge both heart and ambition, tradition and progress, humility and power. She doesn't need to go back, she needs to go within. To find that still, sacred space where true confidence lives, where worth isn't measured, it's known. Because no matter how advanced the world becomes, the essence of womanhood never changes. It's love. It's faith. It's strength that doesn't shout, it shines. And when she remembers that, she won't need to compete. She'll just be unapologetically herself. Grounded. Grateful. And free, not because the world finally approved, but because she finally did.